Day 23 of the Silent Hill 2 Remake Cam Hack playthrough. We have the lightest weight with 2 leaf buds engraved on it. And they sort of look like the shape of a heart. Oops. It's not that one. It's that one. And we are given our execution lever. It's not too often that we have a key item that we pick up with both hands. So we gotta see James hitting that pose. No fancy foot. That would be funny. It's like, since we got both hands in the shot, we gotta have a fancy foot. Stanky leg. The statue itself, the arm rotates down to give us the lever. And it doesn't look great. For all the detail and everything, they just sort of... You can kind of see the separate object of the arm compared to the rest of the statue. The way they just sort of rotate it down, like the shoulder and everything doesn't really... have the detail of where it would rotate. Shoulder has more detail than the telescope? I mean, true. Also got him. Got him again. That's 3. That's 3. Chat just keeps falling for it. We did already look at this. We were taking a look at all of the little parts of this setup. Let's see kind of the area below. I was curious if there was anything to give away which is the correct one to pull. So I kind of want to look at it before we use the lever and then after. And last time we did clip into this. You can see that all the text for solving this puzzle is already there before the doors ever open up. Preying on one's weakness made the man's bones crunch. Oops. Let's actually zoom in now that we've got this open. Pull ye but once on a rope's frayed end. Choose the one justified from among the damned. Seek out their tales, think upon each sin, or let blind fate choose, let the judgment begin. Solve the puzzle or take a blind guess, but you're looking for the justified criminal, which is definitely an interesting rewrite, sort of take on the original version of the Noose puzzle, the innocent prisoner in the original Silent Hill 2. This one kind of emphasizing justification for what they've done rather than necessarily being innocent. Goes in line a lot more with the story and the game's themes between Eddie, Angela, and James. Everything that they've done. I feel like most people don't think that Eddie was justified in the way that he acted, shooting someone for bullying him. Most people will think that Angela was justified in defending herself against her abusive father. And then James falling sort of in between that. Was he killing Mary for selfish reasons? Was he doing it to help free her? It's a little bit of both. But was he justified? Hallowed was the place, this one set ablaze. This one took from others, 'twas a sinful deed. This one he did kidnap his beloved daughter. This one clenched his fist and has pulled no punch. This one dared to take his own mother's life. This one broke the lock to steal, I'll tell you plain. Preying on one's weakness made the man's bones crunch. And steal he did, a remedy to relieve the pain. In a fit of anger, bloody end he brought her. Did it just for pleasure, not over a strife. Stealing to survive, his hunger he would feed. Stood and watched the fire with a lustful gaze. So we get some clues on how to match each of these up. So let's start with ones like watching the fire with a lustful gaze goes with hallowed was the place, this one set ablaze. You also have each of these in rhyming couplets. To help give you a clue. And this is on the easy riddle, compared to normal and hard, which does away with how obvious each bit of the story is. They're a little more ambiguous, and they don't necessarily keep to a rhyme scheme even on hard. But for easy, they give you a lot of clues. This one, for example, preying on the man's weakness, made the man's bones crunch. Matches the rhyming couplet with this one clenched his fist and pulled his punch. In a fit of anger, bloody end he brought her, which rhymes with kidnapping the beloved daughter. Because I think on normal or hard, there's a variation of this where the one who kidnaps the daughter is getting her away from the abusive mother, something like that. And steal he did a remedy to relieve the pain. That's the one who broke the lock to steal. So, pain relief. Stealing for pain relief. Stealing to survive, his hunger he would feed. This one took from others. 'Twas a sinful deed. So, we kind of have two. Stealing a remedy for pain relief. Stealing to survive and feed himself. Two people kind of stealing to take care of themselves. This one dared to take his own mother's life, did it just for pleasure, not over a strife. So there we've got everything matched up. You also have a little bit of a visual clue, kind of where... maybe not. Is the texture the same on each one? No, it is a little different. So you can kind of match the rust patterns. On each of the plates as well. So they give you the rhyme to be able to match it. They give you some visual clues to be able to match it. And then some contextual clues, mentioning fire, setting the place ablaze. Pretty cool way to handle this puzzle. Was too dumb to figure out the hard mode and relied on the jagged edge. I mean, that's the thing. If you've still got a way to solve it. Because, yeah, hard mode, the writing itself is a lot more ambiguous. You don't have the rhyming scheme to, like, match stuff up off of. So I think it's going to be 2. It could also be 4. Two gives you the clue of it being a sinful deed. But they're just stealing to survive. People just trying to eat. This one leaves out the sinful deed part. Breaking the lock to steal. A remedy to relieve the pain. thematically also kind of goes in line with someone like Mary and her illness, being on medications, pain relievers. Speaking of hard mode, what is for you, Nub, the most hardest puzzles in hard mode in the series? Silent Hill 3. Easy. Easily. Silent Hill 3's hard mode puzzles are bullshit. Shakespeare alone requires you to have at least some vague knowledge for Shakespeare stories outside of the game. Like game puzzles that expect you to know, even if it's something common like Shakespeare, not everybody knows Shakespeare, and there's no opportunity to read little bits of Shakespeare, like by examining the books or anything like that. If they gave you some little passages of Shakespeare when you examine the books on hard mode, I'd give that a pass, because all the information and knowledge you need to solve it would be in the game itself. But expecting people to solve puzzles based on outside knowledge, things that are not in the game in some form, is kind of bullshit. It's kind of bullshit. You better read Hamlet. Hope you paid attention in class. Yeah, that's basically what they expect of you. There's also the Brookhaven keypad, where you're supposed to figure out that you're looking at the keypad as though it were a face. And there's not really anything to allude to the fact that you're supposed to do that. You have to make a pretty big leap in logic. It's cool once you know how it works, but figuring out that connection of viewing each button on the keypad as part of a face without any sort of indication, nothing there, like, that could have been made, again, slightly better, just like the Shakespeare one. Shakespeare one should have given you a few sentences of each Shakespeare story when you examine the books in your inventory to let you figure out the relevant parts of each story. And the keypad one should have had, like, a blood droplet dripping down from one button to another, like something to let you make the visual connection between the description in the poem and what the keypad buttons are supposed to represent. Like, if it talks about the eye dripping blood down the cheek, we should have had a little droplet of blood, a little streak of blood from, like, which button is the eye and which button is the cheek, so that you can differentiate, like, okay, this is the eye, this is the cheek, it's not the ear. You can at least kind of make that connection of it being a face. Because without any kind of indicator, that's, like I said, a big leap of logic to try and think of it that way. Okay. Well, this, I think, is 4, but I also want to pull the wrong rope first, because it'll drop us into an area that I want to look around and explore with the free cam. What if they made a very hard puzzle mode so we could still get obscure ass puzzles like that? I mean, I do love some difficult puzzles. I would love stuff like that. And I feel like Silent Hill 2, the original Silent Hill 2, handled that in the best way. Where if you beat the game on easy riddle, normal riddle, and hard riddle, you unlock extra riddle. Only after finishing all of the selectable riddle difficulties, and then you get an extra that expects you to think about stuff a lot further, utilizing your knowledge of the past 3 playthroughs on lower difficulties. That is like the smartest thing, and I think the best way to handle that. And it's the only game to have done it. They never did that in the entire rest of the series. I'm really surprised they didn't do that for Remake. Is it just me, or is water actually dripping out of James's clothes? Could be a camera angle thing. No, I think it is. Around, like, the bottom part of the jacket. Oh, maybe it is kind of a camera angle thing. Because it looks like it. But zooming in up close, like I want to see the droplet drip like in front of his pants, but off of the jacket. And when you zoom in like this, you don't really see it. But when you're looking at like the default angle, it looks like it is. I think it's just the same rain effect, but clipping through. Or maybe it's a distance thing, because we have noticed a lot of effects are relative to the camera position. Yeah, there it is. It is happening. It just goes away when I move the camera. So it's an effect that is taking into account the position of the camera. But it is definitely happening. You can see the water gathering and dripping off of his clothes. Definitely a nice detail there. Alright, let's pull this one. Let's also zoom way out so we can get a little perspective on this cutscene. And the noose is floating into position for this to even work. Just to make it all line up from the normal view that you would have there. Hey, Kikyo. Sneaking in real fast while at work. Can't wait to see the VOD of this later. I'll be sure to have it up at the end of the stream, at least on the archive channel, and then the edit will usually go up tomorrow. Yeah, we're dropped into this little area. Bunch of enemies. The ominous red light up above the ladder. Your punishment for pulling the wrong rope. like how the light itself is also like a red square. Interesting texture. For a second there, I thought it was a photo of like a landscape or something. I think it is just kind of like a dirty, scuffed light cover. Right through. Get some supplies and things for the sake of it. The red square save point also has texture to it. Was wondering if it was the exact same asset there as the light, but I don't think so. Well, the big thing with the save point texture is that it's animated. It's not a static texture. It's like swirling. So here, the game world, as you can see, is animated. But these are not. Like, they have a flicker to them, but they're not the swirling, churning texture of the save point. Gonna need all 37 health potions. Just jab myself with this needle. Hey, we might need those potions. Our Estus flasks. Our nutritional drinks and syringes. Because there is a lot of times where I'm just more focused on trying to get good camera shots of things. And sometimes that means leaving James to sit there and get the shit beat out of him while I'm looking at stuff. But since we can clip into these little barred cell areas, don't have ampules in this. They made syringes instead. Yeah, we don't have ampules and we don't have first aid kits. They reduced the number of healing items from 4 down to 2 for the remake. Or from 3, because there was no syringe. It was just the ampule. So you had the ampule, the first aid kit, and the nutrition drink. And they did have different functions. They were not just different levels of healing, which is something that a lot of people might not realize. The nutritional drinks and the ampules had hidden effects. They also restored your stamina. And most people casually playing Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 3, because it's also a thing in Silent Hill 3, probably never even realized that there is a stamina like meter or mechanic. But of course, like, if you run around too much, if you just hold run constantly and run through the town, you run out of stamina and James will start running slower. And then if you stop, he'll like breathe heavily for a little bit. And until his breathing goes back to normal, you'll only run for like a shorter distance until he starts slowing down again. Using a nutritional drink restores stamina on top of health. So you could heal and also run faster. And using an ampule completely filled your stamina meter and kept it full for like 2 minutes or something. So you could run, you could just sprint the entire time after using an ampule. And for like several minutes, James would not get tired. He would not slow down. And I said they did the same mechanic in Silent Hill 3 as well. Jaden Daniel, welcome back. Thank you so much for the 3 months prison break. It's about that time. We are almost out of the prison. Was going to say if Silent Hill 1 doesn't have that as well, but no, Harry just breathes heavily. So yeah, if you stop running after sprinting for a long time in Silent Hill 1, Harry will breathe heavily, but he never slows down. You can hold run for the entirety of Silent Hill 1, and Harry will always move at a consistent speed. There was a way to turn the meter on in extra options, right? In Silent Hill 3, if you finished the game on hard mode, you got the option to turn on visible UI. So you could see your health bar, you could see your stamina bar, you could see all that. Silent Hill 2, it was a thing, but it was not an unlockable. It was hidden in dev codes along with the minimap. Things that were used for the developers, but not included in the game through like normal unlockable means. Harry was a healthy man. That man could run. In terms of stamina, Harry Mason was unstoppable. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, Travis Grady was an overweight trucker who smoked and drank and sat on his ass in a truck all the time. And he could only run for like 10 steps before slowing down. They had to include an entire other drink, a stamina drink just for Travis. The power of dadhood. Jeff Cray, is there a video out there on Nub's thoughts and expectations of the Silent Hill 1 remake? I mean, the closest thing currently is just my my video reacting to the Konami press start, which is up on YouTube. I haven't made a video specifically just talking about thoughts and expectations. There's not really enough to go off of right now. Like, other than knowing the game is in development, I just really don't have anything to go off. Although somebody did ask a similar question in the YouTube comments, if I would do a video on sort of like what I'm expecting from the Silent Hill 1 remake, so I might try to put together all of my thoughts and feelings and stuff on that a little more concisely for a video in the future, if enough people are interested in that kind of thing. Am I also going to stream the Silent Hill F panel on July 4th? Don't remember at what time it starts. If it's at a time where I'm up and able to, and I don't have any other stuff going on, because I might have potentially some doctor's appointments and things like that, then yeah. Just gotta see how stuff kind of shakes out in the next couple weeks. I've got a lot of doctor's appointments and testing and stuff going on. Wonder how much of Origins Silent Hill 1 Remake will acknowledge, if any at all. I imagine similar to the way Silent Hill 2 Remake has lots of little references and nods towards like all the other games and stuff in the series, they'll probably do something similar with Silent Hill 1. We'll get some little references to things from Origins and Silent Hill 3 and stuff that's a little bit more intrinsically linked to Silent Hill 1. Probably some nods to the play novel. Sorry, I just noticed the, like, swirling fossil shell pattern on the insides of the doors. Kind of neat looking. Not anything that's on, like, the outside. But yeah. Honestly, trust them to do it tastefully, referencing relevant info from other games. Maybe not even relevant info, like just little posters, you know? I don't think they're going to drastically overhaul Silent Hill 1 Remake to try to include, like, areas and gameplay and direct story references to things from Origins or Silent Hill 3 or whatever. But you'll be able to, like, cam hack and look at posters, and you'll probably find posters for, like, the sanitarium, and there's references to the sanitarium in this game. So you'll find things like that, I imagine. But I don't think they're going to go too crazy with it. Bet you will see Travis's trucks, even stuff like that. I don't think they'll go that far. I don't think they'll be super obvious with any of it. Okay. So what do we think? 2? This one took from others, 'twas a sinful deed, stealing to survive, his hunger he would feed. He's just trying to feed himself. Or this one broke the lock to steal, I'll tell you plain, and steal he did, a remedy to relieve the pain. Stealing food or stealing painkillers? It's gonna be one of these. 2 or 4, chat. Who's the most justified? Stealing food to me seems like the more basic human survival aspect, more so than pain reliever. But pain reliever is also, again, something sort of relevant to the themes. This one mentions it being a sinful deed. This one does not. Two, 4, 2. Potato changing from 4 to 2. Let's try 2. Ooh. That zoomed out perspective makes it look like he really smacks his jaw going down. Like head flies back. His neck is broken. I mean, that is what would happen a lot of time for people executed by hanging. Oh. Well, his teeth are in good shape. His eyeballs look okay. Should have put a bruise on his chin after that. Now we're playing Trauma Center. I love that game, but it is so fucking hard. And I've only ever played the first one on DS. Never played any of the sequels. Is there a hatch above you? There is a long dark tunnel. I'll go up as far as it goes. But it appears the game world stops rendering. Right there. I love all the just like hanging sort of cages, metal frames and everything around. Oh, nothing really rendered behind the doors, but there is like a little tiny little floor there. You can see where they just overlapped and clipped the textures together on the opposite sides of the wall. Textures just kind of stretched and smeared. Stuff you wouldn't normally see. Oh. Wow, they already have this whole part rendered. The Historical Society, the picture of the prison. The next hole to drop down. That's pretty neat. just to kind of see the level layout. I actually missed something here on my first playthrough. So, in the original Silent Hill 2, when you get to this area, if you examine the corpses, you get a bit of dialogue where James is like, "Did I just see that move?" And then he's like, "No, it must be my mind playing tricks on me." And Bloober Team actually animates one of these, like one of the feet moves, like it twitches. I can't remember if it's one of the ones in here or if it's the one on the table. But Bloober actually did put in an animation. In the original, there's no animation, it's just text, kind of implying that James thought he saw something move. Try and see if there's much of a body or anything. Nope, it's just feet up to the shin, poking out, and then the rest is just shaped covering, similar to the blanket covering Mary in the backseat of James's car. Like, her model's not actually under it, but the covering is just person-shaped to give that illusion. Oh, I think I missed it again. I think it was this one. Because you get the little flashlight going off just for a moment. Here, I'll reload just so we can try and focus the camera on that a little bit better. Totally missed that in your playthroughs. That's okay. I was like examining other stuff and looking around at other things in the room, and missed it in my first playthrough as well. But really nice little reference to the OG. Yeah, there you go. The feet tense up just for that brief little moment in reference to the text in the original Silent Hill 2, James wondering if he saw them move, and then chalks it up to his imagination. Yeah, there's like a breathing. You hear a breath sort of noise as well. Like a man gasping. Used to be some text here with James trying to figure out, like, this corpse into this hole. Sort of getting the idea of this is the only way to go. Gotta drop down here where all these corpses seem to be getting pushed into. The good old corpse disposal chute. Just like the water prison in Silent Hill 4. Have an entire puzzle based around this concept. Again, I love just all the imagery. The lights up above the metal grating. The fan, rusted, still very slowly spinning back here. And again, it's so funny just being able to see James is actually up there. Where we'll eventually wind up after he jumps. The light and the, like, that lighting change each time he regains consciousness or after jumping being more and more distorted as well. Like a nice subtle visual effect there. So creepy, this track. Same as the OG. One of the several moments where they use original audio for the same location. Like, a lot of tracks were redone and re-recorded, but there's definitely a lot of places where they just use the original audio, and this is one of them. Very faded, but it's still that photo of the prison. What would eventually be the Historical Society. Gross water in the sink. Nothing really visible here. So I think we get a complete location change after jumping here. Everything's kind of got like a reddish tint. Going further down, it's more and more distorted each time James drops. Really driving home that idea that we're getting separated further and further from sort of reality and logic. And the elevator, similar to the super long staircase leading from the Historical Society down to the prison, all being one long, continuous, rendered area. Not just a visual trick. The original Silent Hill 2 has the elevator all fully rendered, where if you clip the camera out of bounds and looked at the elevator shaft from outside, you can see the full thing. Here, that doesn't seem to be the case. As soon as you clip out of the elevator, you don't see anything rendered. So this one might actually be handled differently, rather than just like a long, continuous, fully rendered trip. We'll try to look at it as it moves. And there goes James. He's moving. You just don't have the lighting, I guess, to really be able to see it. Thought they did the same? Well, they've done both. They've done the visual trick of basically having an elevator just sort of be a hiding or masking a load screen while they move you to a new area. And then they've done an actual physical elevator that moves your character model from one floor to another. We saw them do both in Brookhaven Hospital, kind of examining stuff out of bounds through that area. Oh. Can already see some bits and pieces of this next area. Drawer with bullets, all the little interactables are rendered in, lighting sources, staticky TV floating in a void. Do we have the newspaper? I know you still read the newspaper, but they move it further up this hallway. Because in the original Silent Hill 2, you kind of get it like right here. You get your save point, you get your door, and you get your newspaper clipping about Thomas Orozco. We have this newspaper, same bundle of newspapers we've seen many other places. Fire extinguisher with Fire Inspector Smith. Same assets that we've seen in other places. We've got light bulbs, not in cans. Gotta wait till the hotel. Could the fire extinguisher be a nod to Angela's otherworld? Possibly. Fire is definitely a big part of Angela's perception of the otherworld. So having something like a fire extinguisher in the first little bit of environment here would make thematic sense. Some rusty cans of hyper spray. We do have some newspapers, even if they're not legible. Bit of graffiti. Starting to get little elements of what we saw in the apartments around where we met Angela in front of the big mirror. Hey, what's up, Hank? There's little bits of paper and trash, cigarette butts, matches. Again, could be some intentional fire references towards Angela, but it's also just general kind of garbage assets that we've seen in a lot of other places already. It's one of the royal water bottles. Some more things we've seen in some other spots. So there's actually some really good, really creepy audio that you can get here. Where you hear Angela's father saying things to her. And I'm not sure how well all of that will come across, because I think it's built into the ambient track. So I can't really adjust the audio to hear it more clearly. There it is. So I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to turn the game audio way up. You can hear whispering. His voice whispering things to Angela. Here, let me see if the audio is actually part of this. Oh, I don't hear it anymore. It might be an effect. It is. So we can isolate it a bit more. You can hear his voice whispering and then a girl's voice whispering something back. And then right there, when you examine, when you actually try to push against the door, it sounds like someone's coming. Shh. And he like shushes and it goes away. Such a creepy detail. Such a creepy detail. Let me adjust the audio back down a little bit. I think there's a few other spots here where we'll hear more of that though. So I'll adjust it more as we come across it. And again, we can see some of the next area rendered in. Oh, yeah, there it is. Did language change to Japanese? This whole playthrough has been in Japanese, and I'm realizing as I listen to this, it sounds different from when I was listening to it on an English playthrough. I think they've actually changed these audio files based on the language of your playthrough. Yeah, it sounds like Japanese. Kurashitenai. Okay. So I'm going to wonder what the English is? Well, we can find out. So I just made a save before we started this hallway. Thankfully, there's a save point right there. So we can change the audio language back over to English. And then load that save and listen to it in English. And verify if it is different. Or if it's the same sort of Simlish Animal Crossing speak. I just want to make sure that I actually saved this setting. Okay, it is English. Because it sounds the same. Okay, I just heard the same thing that sounded like Kurosh Tenai. So it's the same audio, regardless of language. Wonder if someone has isolated the audio files and deciphered it all? Well, so this is one of the things that you run into that's kind of a problem. Somebody has ripped these audio files and isolated them. Unfortunately, that person is Rachel Ashman, who I've already talked about in some previous parts of this playthrough, who has some really, really wild theories and interpretations when it comes to a lot of the information. She's very, very good at data mining and finding these things, but is really bad about interpreting and enforcing her theories based on her findings. on other fans and gets into arguments with people who disagree, even developers. So the files themselves have been ripped and isolated, but I would not use her interpretations as what they may actually be, because I'm listening and trying to hear it, and it sounds sort of like nonsense, or at the very least like not even a single language. Like multiple languages might be used here. Parts of it sound like Japanese, parts of it sound sort of Polish. And then same thing, you examine the door and you get that shh. Think he said tu madre there, your mother? What are you saying about my mother, Super Shish Kebab? Tu madre primero. Low-res boots. Yeah, considering the recurring use of the fire extinguishers and everything like that, definitely feels much more intentional as this goes on. Oh, and now we're hearing creaking bed noises on top of all the whispering and muttering. Yeah. Creaking bed, grunting, like that. And same thing, the gasp and shushing. And then then we get all the newspaper stuff leading up to the door. Very much like the original. Just want to give Angela a big hug. I don't think she would appreciate the touch. I don't think she would appreciate the physical contact, but I understand. Was going to die. Something I didn't want to. Something. Is that Thomas? Yeah, I can't really make out the last word. But it looks like I was going to die. And I didn't want to. Something. The newspaper, something Herald. It's the hospital director. He's everywhere in this game if you ask certain people. We just got done talking about how I appreciate a lot of the data mining that Rachel Ashman does, but I very strongly and thoroughly disagree with a lot of her interpretations of the information and theories around most of what she finds. Everything else was so quiet. That alert out of nowhere. Post up 83. Thank you so much for the 2 months, the primary sub. Thank you, thank you. I had that moment of like, what's happening? Something Herald, Daily News, Silent Hill, Herald, Daily News. It's like the S, the H. And then we have the bloody newspaper describing the body of a man later identified as Thomas Orozco, lumberjack, age 39, was discovered in the living room or bedroom, lying face up. The probable cause of death was multiple stab wounds to the front of the neck and the left side of the torso by a sharp-edged weapon. The estimated time of death was somewhere between 11 p.m. and 12:30 midnight. Due to signs of struggle in the room and the lack of a murder weapon, because Angela takes it with her and then gives it to us, police are considering this a homicide and have opened a murder investigation. The police suspect that the motive was not robbery or of crime of passion. Same writing, same newspaper from the original. Mary's letter. That could be it, because one of the things I've been talking about from the very start, as we started looking at things during this playthrough, I knew at some point there were letters and things in the environment, newspapers and stuff like that, that use little pieces of Mary's letter as the text. Accept it. You can even see the C and the E there. That's definitely what it is. Good eye, Hank. Good memory. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. So this is where we're starting to see little bits and pieces of Mary's letter as like the filler text. And I know there's some of it that's supposed to be a little bit more obvious, a little easier to read. Given the fact the cash in the room was untouched and Mr. Orozco had a history of drunkenness and violence, hence all the rusty bottles and beer cans, cigarettes, the fire extinguishers, like all of this stuff alluding to Angela's otherworld in this area leading up to this fight, or this sequence. Yep, this is another part of Mary's letter. Can tell how hard, talking about how hard it is for James. Hold on. Let me pull up her full letter. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. So that's what you have here. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard. And then, yeah, I don't know if you hate me or pity me. Or maybe I just disgust you, which is part of Mary's letter. So we're getting all this filler text directly from Mary's final letter. We've also got a shot of the lumber mill that we run past at the start of the game. Thomas Orozco is a lumberjack. Cocoon of pain and loneliness on this one. So he's definitely read the full letter already if he's manifesting this. Not necessarily. The town can manifest things that are just here in the environment. Who else is here? Laura. Who brought the real letter to the town before James even arrived? Laura. The letter is physically in the town. The town can recreate it and manifest it and project it. It doesn't need to be in James's mind. We have these last few years. These last few years since I became ill, I'm so sorry for what I did to you, did to us, is the full line from Mary's letter. But we have these last few years visible on this one. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Trade it for the world is there. More Silent Hill news. That one looks like Who Are You? Hey, Minimoto. But super interesting. Super, super interesting. Being able to see all of these little bits and pieces of Mary's letter that, yes. Oh, boy. And now we actually get Angela's voice. More directly, rather than the whispering and muttering. I'll be there in just a minute, Angela. I'm looking at the newspapers. Memory? Something like memory something? written at the top of the newspaper. Monday. Silent Hill Herald, Daily News, Centurion News, Maine, HER. Textures like partly removed, Maine Herald. Another one that says memory. Okay, so some of these are repeats now. Cocoon of Pain and Loneliness is the same as this one. Or was it? That one was over here somewhere. Yeah, this one. Silent Hill Herald Daily. Yeah, at this point, I think the rest of these are repeats of those same pages. Oh, this one has "You promised me you'd take me again." You promised me you'd take me again. So more little parts of Mary's letter. Something on the ground clipping through the page on this one. I thought it was like a drawing, an image or something on that. I don't want to get too close. I can't remember if this is like the original, where it'll trigger once you get to a certain point in the hallway, or if it doesn't trigger until you touch the door. So I want to try to look at all of this before activating, like, next sequence. I think that might be it. The rest of these look like repeats. Oh, and that is where we fight Mary at the end of the game. Some foreshadowing. Again, the lumber mill. Probably where Thomas Orozco worked. Crazy detail. Between the audio as you're going down this hallway, all the little bits and pieces of Mary's letter scattered throughout the newspapers. Another last door at the end of the corridor. Yeah, I'm in the original Silent Hill 2, once you get beyond a certain part, it just activates the next scene. I don't remember how this works, if it's the same as the OG. Okay. Yeah, no whispering or audio on this door. It doesn't activate until you actually touch the door. Nothing clipping through this side either. There is like a little part of the wall here. I'm just gonna clip out of bounds a bit. What's glowing up here? Way up here. Oh wow, this far back is still rendered. That's gonna be the corpse room. The morgue. That's all still rendered in. All the way up here, out of bounds. And then this was the area hallway leading up to the next drop and everything to get here. There's a bunch of bags. All the plastic bags are hiding out of bounds here for some reason. Like each type of plastic bag we've come across, they're just kind of like laid out. More bags. Just trying to explore, see if there's anything else kind of interesting out of bounds before going into the next room. Yeah, and then nothing rendered in here because that's going to trigger a cutscene, load the next area. Okay, so let's go ahead, put back all of our audio. Just that intense rumbling. Let's zoom the camera out so we can get a different perspective on this cutscene here. Oh, right, it's not a cutscene yet. It renders everything in here once you walk in. Just to show we're back in this room where we were exploring earlier in Woodside Apartments, where Angela may or may not have lived. It could be a situation similar to James seeing bits and pieces of his home with Mary manifested in those apartments. They didn't live there, but the town is manifesting aspects from their memories, the locations, into their environment. We already see that happening with James. It's most likely something happening with Angela as well. More beer cans, alcohol bottles, all the stuff alluding to Thomas Orozco's history of drunkenness and violence. Also cookie, box of cookie, macchia tea, the classic Silent Hill 2 environment props. Those are things that are even in the original. Bottle of bourbon. The gross looking breakfast meat. The can of spaghetti. The microwave texture has been flipped for some reason. We've seen these microwaves around, but this one has been flipped horizontally. The Atomics stove. Butter cake along with cookie. I had a moment there where I thought that was more wingdings. I was like, was there wingdings on the cookie box the whole time? I don't think so. I think it's just cursive. I think it's just the stylized font. Traumatized by wingdings. Apple core. Plastic cups. More beer bottles, beer cans. Coffee pot. Nothing hiding in the fridge. Tins for tea and coffee. Some strawberry cheesecake. A lot of the little food assets and things we've seen around. More cookie and butter cake. Strawberry pound cake. Macchia tea. Tin for chili peppers. Can of fresh tuna. Nothing new. Nothing we haven't seen in some other places. But it is a bit different from how it looks in Woodside. Like the details of the stuff all over are different from when we're exploring this same room in Woodside Apartments. Poles really love tea, by the way, which might explain the teas here. I mean, macchia tea is something that was in the original, and it's a very commonly reused prop. So, I mean, that's just kind of going back to the OG, same as the cookie and butter cake. Macchia tea being in the OG, yeah. There's only a few places where you can see it like really clearly without a cam hack. One of them is the food storage room, the pantry in the hotel, where you get the Sleeping Beauty music box. This same painting still here. This is in the Woodside Apartments version of this room as well. Angela's teddy bear is gone. Chair with like cut marks in the top of it. In the seat. Our bruised door. Yeah, I'm glad they kept a lot of these kind of details like nearly identical to the original. Where you had the room where we went in and saw Angela in front of the mirror last time, which when you first explore, it's a relatively clean white door. And this door is the one that's all boarded up. Now the boards have been pulled and blocking this room. And instead, this door that always to me looked like it had a bruised sort of look to it, that blue and purple dark coloring to it. Much more damaged and scuffed up compared to the other. And even the white door itself now has a lot more marks and sort of stains on it. Paint is peeling. Some very subtle, very slight visual changes for these little parts of the environment. Yeah, I forgot how much they extend this sequence compared to the original. before you actually get to the last, like, part where you trigger the cutscene with Angela. Ghoul? Oh, wow. That is one of the signs in Silent Hill 1. That's a Silent Hill 1 texture. That's the ghoul sign, the ghoul building. That yellow sign with the black text. That's 100% a Silent Hill 1 texture. Obsidian. Obsidian goblet. Little reference to the Rebirth ending items. Graffiti, a little crown. DJ. We never learn the names of Angela's brother or mother. Just her father, Thomas. Storm Horizon. KIA. Falls. Vice. FAHS. FAIIS. FALLS. ANZUCH. Anzu. Anzu-chan? That last letter, though. A Y? A G? Anzu Chang? I have things to look up now. Last Sonata. Could just be a Beethoven reference. There were also Last Sonata vinyl records in I Love Groovy Music, if I remember correctly. Because I think these are essentially supposed to be like band music stickers. But yeah, I also agree with your interpretation on this one, Potato. This is most likely supposed to be Angela's brother's room, the door to his room. There is an anime called Anzu-chan, Ghost Cat Anzu. But it's very new. It's like 2024. So that wouldn't make any sense. Unless this was added as part of like the last update or something, but I don't think so. Anyone getting Sid vibes from Toy Story? I mean, definitely from like the KIA and Skull and stuff like that. It's probably most what your mind is kind of making connections with. And the flowers. Another one of our bruised doors. So this is where we get our cutscene, I believe. Oh, wow. Can I avoid the cutscene by clipping in here and exploring? Nothing behind the other door, right? Both of these lead into... Yeah, like that door is technically nothing rendered. It's just right at the very corner of that room. Is my control not working because I tabbed out of the game? Yes, give me a moment. I just need to fix the controls real quick. Okay. Apparently I'm floating. That's fine. But now we can explore this room and look at stuff before triggering all the cutscenes. Faded photo of somebody. Another painting that we saw previously in Woodside. Greenhouse in the middle of the field. Woman seemingly walking away from the house out in the field with a young girl standing in the doorway. Possibly an image of Toluca Lake. Same map of the US that we found in the mirror room. A lot of things that were in that huge mirror room. Just with no mirror now. Unique looking book that we haven't really seen. Fairly detailed as well. Thought Angela's model would be here, but I guess it doesn't trigger until we start the cutscene. Yeah, seems that way. Although it might be somewhere out of bounds, and then they just move it to the correct coordinates for the start of the cutscene. A lot of times, depending on the engine and the setup of the scene, that can be less resource intensive to just have the model already loaded in and just move it instantly at the start of a cutscene trigger. So we may find Angela somewhere. That would be interesting. There we go. Oh, there's something invisible here. That's what I was floating on. There's some sort of invisible, like, prop or barrier or something here. Yeah, there's the teddy bear. I wanted to move over here to get some light in the closet. We noticed her bear was missing from out in front of the other door where it was in Woodside. Now it's in here, stained with blood. Much more ripped up. Of course, we have our cleaning Lux vacuum yet again, 666 made in hell. Seen several of these already, but fun detail. All the same. Also, I don't know if it's just me, the way my brain tries to connect familiar looking imagery, but the slotted like closet door with the hanger and everything makes me think of the original Halloween when Laurie Strode is hiding in the closet and Michael Myers is looking for her. She uses a coat hanger to try to stab him in the eye when he finds her. It's also, reminiscent a bit of the closet that James was hiding in with Pyramid Head. But that is a more direct Blue Velvet reference. This one feels a little more like Halloween to me. Let's take a little peek. Oh, yeah, we can already see some stuff out of bounds here. The broken version of the closet. Let's just spawn James in. Try and get a look at all of this before everything starts going crazy. You can see all the environments and textures that are already sort of loaded for this whole sequence. The door that's going to open up, they just move the wall. Void closet. Oh. Oh. Things just blinking out of existence around me. Oh. Go towards the light. Okay. That works. Still want to look around here some more. See if we have anything else visible out of bounds. But it looks like it's mostly this first little chunk of hallway until we actually trigger the cutscene. So let's go ahead and trigger that cutscene. Zoom here. Think that collision is from Abstract Daddy's body when we kill him and are back in Angela's room. That would make sense if they've already got that there and it's just not visually rendered, but the collision's in place.
Please. I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
Angela? Angela, it's me.
No, please. Daddy!
Okay. So it wasn't Abstract Daddy's body, it was Abstract Daddy itself, because he comes from that side of the room. So he's already there with collision, just invisible until he needs to emerge from that side of the room from the shadows. We get a better view of that by pulling back the camera for that scene. You can see this is open up now, which means the room... Oh, you can even see all these variations, these parts. Oh, we're going to get to look at all the clockwork and machinery and stuff up close. Where is he now? It might be similar to the Pyramid Head 2 hallway. At the end of Brookhaven, where there's certain points once you cross that sort of trigger him to spawn in. He should already be going after you. Again, we've kind of been clipping around. We may have broken the boss. Yeah, I think he is normally like right behind you right off the bat. But there's probably points in the hallway that will trigger him to spawn in. Probably once we go through the next like loop, essentially. But this is fine. We can take our time and explore. And then reload and hopefully not break things. Just all these same pictures and posters. Map of the US. All these things that must have been in Angela's room. Stuff that's manifesting for her. There's collision here. There's collision on this whole side of the room. Oh, I can even see some of the flesh walls. Yeah, because we're back outside that hallway where we first walked in to trigger the cutscene. You can kind of see a little bit of how the environment loops back on itself throughout this whole sequence. Well, there he is. The fan. Yeah. This feels very Silent Hill Homecoming. The Hell's Descent area of Silent Hill Homecoming. This orange lighting and the fans that have gaps that you have to go through. All the machinery here has It all has collision and stuff as well. Yeah, Mr. Shy Potato. I'm gonna reset this whole segment. But I want to take my time and look around while everything is kind of broken. There we go, there's the pulsating version of the walls. With the, like, faint moaning and stuff that's gonna gradually get louder. Moaning and crying. And yeah, this was something that was in early builds of the game that Bloober Team actually removed. They toned down this section for the 1.0 release. And then when fans discovered it, they implemented it back in because people thought it was so disturbing and thought that it should be in the game. Phallic imagery. It's awful. It's just machine parts moving around, but the implication of everything is so gross. Compared to the original, which was like fleshy room with pistons, they really, really ramped it up for this. Ew. Oh, it puts me here. Puts me here. So let's go back here. And do this sequence a little bit less broken.
Please. I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
Angela? Angela, it's me.
No. Please. Daddy!
Okay, so yeah, he is definitely supposed to be chasing immediately on this sequence. It just sort of teleports you through there. If you hit him with the chainsaw, do enough damage to him. Which if I remember, is not necessary until the last part. I think you're able to just run. Lock the door behind you. And her model's already gone. She just spawns in and runs across and then immediately spawns out. Not the painting. Painting jump scare? Bloober team delving into their layers of fear tricks. Family photo out on Lake Toluca. Mom taking the photo, I guess. So this is supposed to be Thomas, Angela, and her brother. Yeah. Some finest old Polish whiskey. the other whiskey bottles that we've seen. I love we start getting the light flickers. A lot of alcohol imagery continues in this, likely attached to James's own issues with drinking, but does this imply Thomas was similar? It says directly in the newspaper, he had a history of drunkenness and violence. I think this is sort of strictly in reference to Thomas, not necessarily James, but we do know that James also admits in the original Silent Hill 2 to having started relying on drinking after Mary was sick. You see just that glimpse of Angela going into the closet to hide. She's like immediately gone. Still hear what sounds like Abstract Daddy stomping around. I don't know if he's actually rendered in. Then it gets quiet once you're in here. Just to kind of give you that sensation of being safe, even though you're not really. Much how Angela probably felt hiding in there. Really good way to convey that. Yeah, all these little snippets of conversation. Thomas Orozco yelling at Angela. After I took care of you all those years, look at me for what I did. Upset that, you know, he says, I make you sick. And I'm trying to remember if that dialogue is kept in the remake. In the original Silent Hill 2, that's one thing that Angela repeats to James is, you make me sick. Do we know who voices Thomas? Is it Luke? I'm not sure, actually. I don't think it's Luke. Luke voices the hospital director. But then they have, like, Eddie's mocap actor. Because Eddie has two different actors. Eddie has someone doing mocap and someone doing voice. So for English, anyway, Eddie's mocap actor, not Eddie's voice actor, is the voice of the elevator game show host. I forget if that's the case in... It wouldn't be the case for Japanese, because it would be the same English-speaking mocap actors no matter what. Just the Japanese actor. So I'm not sure who they use for Thomas. Same Morse code message from these TVs that we've been finding around, where it just repeats the message again and again and again and again, over and over. Just those two words repeated. Oh, you don't have to shoot that. You can just aim at it. I didn't realize you could trigger that just by aiming. I'm looping. Another great shot. Thumbnail for the YouTubes, I assume. A lot of these I will wind up, or I mean at least one of them I'll wind up using for a thumbnail. But I'm also just getting shots that I think look cool. Because aside from just examining the environments, I'm kind of utilizing this mod as a photo mode as well. Just to take some interesting screenshots. love the gradual just change of tone and everything as everything here gets more and more disturbed. And your first little glimpse of the fleshy walls and the rusted fan. All the same newspapers that were found outside in the hallway before starting this whole sequence. Again, these little quiet moments when you go into the closet. This time the teddy bear's moved. You can find the family photo. So Angela, her mother, her brother, and her father Thomas. It's the same one as in the OG. It's been recreated to be a little bit higher definition. But it is very, very faithfully recreated. The way a lot of textures in this game are. Like, they're practically identical to the original, except they are higher resolution. So, it's stuff that has been remade. They're not just grabbing that original texture and dropping it in. But the way they remade it is extremely accurate. More of the walls breaking away. More of the fleshy walls revealed. More of the machinery. The pistons and engines all being revealed. Everything actually activates. And you have that horrible audio. The little groans and cries mixed in with sort of bed springs on top of all the pistons and machinery going. There we have the family photo, not ripped apart, still in the frame. A little bit bigger version of it. Look at Thomas. Look at everyone's face. Look at the shit-eating grin on Thomas. You can see there's even sort of a forced smile on Mom's face. Little smile on Brother's face. And then Angela. How clearly upset already. Just to show that, like, it's not something that just started happening once she was older. This is something, abuse that she's been dealing with since childhood. It had already affected her by this point. You can see his hand on her shoulder. It's hard to tell. I think that may be the mother's hand holding Angela. It could be Thomas's wrapped around both. But the hand looks a little bit smaller in comparison to where Thomas is. I think that's Angela's mother holding her. Talking about leave, run away. Where would you go? There's nothing out there. No one cares. I just want what's best for you. I know what you are. Now, managed to actually move the camera perspective in time to see Angela run through and blip out of existence there. I know what you are is such a sick thing to be saying, and given the context, it's like Thomas is justifying his actions. That's the way it is with a lot of abusers. And remember the way Angela also describes her mother, saying that she deserved what happened. So Mom is also part of this. She's most likely dealing with that in response to having also been abused by Thomas, but she is also an emotional manipulator in that regard. putting the idea in Angela's head that she deserved everything. And if it's not obvious enough, they did a really solid job in this remake. Oh yeah, DSP. They really, really emphasized and expanded upon how much Angela went through. And it does a really good job of making you hate this fucker. You really hate Thomas Orozco going through all this. So much more. There's so much more build up to that. Hey, Sasam. Stream is going well. We're taking our time looking at all this horrific imagery up close and personal. The sparks in the shadow of the fan with James standing there. That's a good shot too. The sounds again feels even more aggressive. Yeah, it just keeps getting more and more intense, like the further through this sequence you go. It's your fault. Do you think you're special? Don't look at me. You're hurting me. Stop it. So now we're getting Thomas like when Angela finally fought back. Oh, we can clip out and it mutes the sound effects, but we still keep the ambient, that like dull, droning. So aggressively sexual, this whole thing, and done in a way of pure implication. Again, the way people were talking about it in chat, I totally agree. Taking that original concept from the original Silent Hill 2, where it was just one small fleshy room with some suggestive sound effects and pistons, and just expanding on that idea, adding a lot of new imagery that still fits into those themes so clearly, like making it even more disgusting, repulsive. Thought those were arms at first glance. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I was looking at either. I thought it might be intestines or limbs. That's why I wanted to look. And it's fabric, like bloody fabric rolled up.
okay. Calm down.
Don't order me around!
I'm not. It's okay. It's over.
Don't even try.
Try what?
Like you don't know. I see what you're doing. It's always the same with you. You're only after one thing.
Angela, please.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead. Say it. Or you could just force me. Like he always did. You disgusting pig. I hate you. I hate you.
Angela. I don't know who you think I am, but I don't want to hurt you. I just want to get my Mary back.
You're Mary. Your own little Mary. At least she was. For a while.
What?
Admit it. You didn't want her around anymore.
No.
You probably found someone else.
No!
I need to find my mama.
I never.
I'm so torn because I do like that scene and I like the performances, and everyone's also going to be confused who's finally gotten used to this playthrough being in Japanese and now suddenly it's in English again. Cutscene, really well done. I love like Gianna Keel's performance, especially in that scene. I do like that little addition of like your own little Mary and how much that clearly gets to James. Until the very last line. I don't like Luke Roberts' delivery on the I never. Like, Angela sort of pointing out James's possessiveness over Mary in this whole sort of search, the way that she's perceiving all of that. I do like the way that that's done. And I like James's response to that, how it clearly gets to him. He shouts at her and then she immediately reverts into the childlike talking and mannerisms again, sort of bringing back that abuse trauma of a man yelling at her and putting her back in that mindset. But I don't like Luke Roberts' last little line delivery. The scene is so good up until that part, compared to Guy Seehe's like, that's ridiculous. I never. Like, you get that tone from the original of like, who are you trying to convince, James? Like, who are, there's nobody left in the room but you. Clearly, you're just talking to yourself. You're trying to maintain that delusion, that aspect of your false character. Luke Roberts, his performance in that scene is really good up until that last line. I'm not a fan of that last line. I don't like the delivery of his I never. think this is where you can actually beat him. Yeah. After everything, after finding out what a fucking piece of shit he is, and all the other information, the way they expanded so much on this sequence, they give you this nice little cathartic moment. Like, here you go. You can just keep beating the shit out of him. Yeah, we can get a little clearer shot of the abstract daddy here. This sort of skin bed sheet with two figures, one pinning the other down. The mouth, the sort of opening on the back of the head of this figure, making it look very phallic. Even more so than the original. Don't think any other details in the room change here. But yeah, this is the same collision that was here when I clipped into the room prematurely. And the broken version of the TV model. Inoshido. Thank you so much for that Prime sub. The Bezos Bucks. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that support. Fuck you, Thomas. Piece of shit. Just checking all this stuff. Sometimes they like to switch out textures and things after a sequence. This is still my favorite. The ghoul texture from Silent Hill 1. Nice, subtle little reference there. But that's a sign that you can find on the side of a building in Silent Hill 1. This way in is locked. Now this side is open. More of these areas with the just like never visible ceilings, just walls that go on forever. Some of my favorite imagery in the environments in this game. And we're officially in the Labyrinth, drawing our own map. Just like in the original, just like some of the other games. That's one of the things I like the most about Silent Hill 4. is that Henry just draws where he's going in his notebook. I love the concept of characters in game just drawing their maps as they explore. Oh yeah. Now that we've gone through that whole sequence, let's take a look at James. See how our boy is looking. His hair is definitely like sweatier and dirtier. He's got those same very bruised, very tired looking eyes now. Little micro stutters, little micro shakes, movements, rapid eye movements. He's very like twitchy. He's having little muscle spasms in his face as well. Like his cheeks will sort of twitch and pull up. His jaw clenched right there. All these little... This is some of the stuff that, like, with modern technology makes such a big difference. The little minuscule, tiniest of little subtle animations for facial acting. I think the lens on the flashlight is also getting dirtier, a little bit dimmer. The sweat stains on his shirt. You can see the line. Dirt and everything under his fingernails. James has definitely been through some shit. Of course, the mark on the wedding finger, the wedding ring is missing. Still there, as it has been from the beginning. More dirt on his boots and pants. It's pretty incredible that they incorporated the intro and trailer imagery of the mannequins and the old myth about enemies thinking you're Pyramid Head all in one instance. That was very clever. I like that Bloober managed to work in so many references to fan theories and aspects like that, especially for this little sequence in the Labyrinth. But all throughout, they've kind of been doing that. There's an interview with Bloober Team's developers where they actually talked about doing tons of research and scouring the internet for like every possible fan theory they could find and trying to make little references to them all throughout the game, especially during the Labyrinth segment. And they mentioned that even theories they themselves did not like or agree with, they still wanted to try and incorporate references to them just for those fans who would recognize and like appreciate that stuff. But yeah, the idea of sort of working in this imagery, very, very similar to the intro sequence and early Silent Hill 2 trailers from the original. Hope Mateus is directing the Silent Hill 1 remake. Would assume the same team is working on it. Most likely. Most likely. I don't think they're going to change those roles for directors. They're probably, if anything, they're just going to expand their teams, include more people. I'm hoping they include more original core developers. That's one of my current crazy tinfoil hat theories, is a lot of the core members of Team Silent got together earlier this year for drinks, which is a very common practice when, like, signing on business deals and stuff like that within the game industry. It's how Silent Hill 2 Remake came to be. During the first Silent Hill transmission, Ito mentioned that him and Okamura, one of the producers, basically met with Bloober Team over drinks to get the ball rolling on Silent Hill 2 Remake and basically put it in Bloober Team's hands. So pretty much all of Team Silent, or all the core members of the original Silent Hill 1 dev team, all got together for drinks earlier this year. So I'm hoping they're basically doing the same thing that they did with Silent Hill 2 and trying to bring a lot more of the original devs in as consultants or directors. Expand their teams, get some more talented people. Because if they treat it with the same amount of respect as Silent Hill 2 Remake and spend even more time on it, kind of getting all those details and aspects and inclusion of more of the original team, like, it's gonna be a solid game. There's a lot of stuff they could potentially still mess up. But I think it'll be okay. I've got a lot more faith in them than I did when this remake was first announced. That's true, Blue Blood. Ito and Yamaoka wanted more drastic changes to the remake, but Bloober refused, according to Okamoto. That is true. So I think that is important to keep note of, that the getting more of the original core members is always a good thing, having them on as consultants, but recognizing that Team Silent, like, they made these games already. They don't want to just make the same thing the same way. And I think having other people outside of them to sort of keep in mind and check and balance, like, what things should be changed, what things should be expanded, and what things need to stay the way they were, is a super important aspect when doing remakes. All right. Well, this is where I'm going to end it for tonight. We're officially in the Labyrinth.